Well, I would say we'll get started, but I don't want everybody to miss. I don't want everybody to miss Hughes. He's got the best quote.
I got the worst.
They're all good. They're all good. Hi, Anthony. Haven't seen you for a while.
Hey, Baba, Cassandra. Hey,
Hey,
everyone.
Baba.
Happy Baba's birthday.
Happy Baba's birthday.
Hey.
So I guess this is the equivalent of Christmas in the Baba world, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Yes.
start making happy birthday Baba cards. To talk to Angela. Hi, Hare Prasad. You're here. Ernie's here.
Hello, everyone. Jay Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Oh, hi, Ernie.
Hey, Marion.
Yeah.
2 more minutes and we'll get started. How's that? I had to blur my background because it's laundry day and I have stuff hanging everywhere. So don't judge me.
No.
Sing us a song, Gabriella.
Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. I am always with you, I am always by you, I'm always with you, always by you, always with you, always by you, dear one of mine. I will never forget you, I'll never forsake you, I'll never forget you, I'll never forsake you, I'll never forget you, I'll never forsake you, dear one of mine. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. There, you can make up your own verses to this song.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Was.
Yeah, that was such a nice way to start. So don't edit that out, Angela. Keep it in there. But let's get started. Welcome, everyone. I hope you brought your Baba quotes. Did everybody get one? At
Yes.
least one?
Yep.
So Hugh has a good one. So we're going to let him start us off.
My quote is about love. Love others, make others happy, serve others, even at discomforts to yourself. This is to love me. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Do you want to say something about that? What that means for you?
Well, as I say, to me, Baba's all about love and all about thinking of others and thinking less of yourself. So to me, this is all embodied in this particular quote.
Well, that was definitely a good one to start. Thank you, dear. We can raise our hands or you can just say, I'm next. Who'd like to go?
I'll do it.
All right, Paula.
Okay. This is without love, none can cultivate the noble habit of forgetting and forgiving. You forgive a wrong done to you in the same measure in which you love the wrongdoer. Forgiveness follows love.
Would you read that again?
Yes. Without love, none can cultivate the noble habit of forgetting and forgiving. You forgive a wrong done to you in the same measure in which you love the wrongdoer. Forgiveness follows love.
That's a good one. That's a good one for the world today, huh?
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. Yes.
It's probably a good idea to read each one twice because it helps us to absorb it.
Yes, I
Bob-
think so. Yes.
Yeah, Bob, you want to go next? Nope, you muted yourself, hon. There
Okay,
you go.
okay. It's kind of a long one. I really had to sort of think about this one, so I'll try. The soul cannot receive in any appreciable measure the renewal which the divine consciousness would pour upon it, owing to the resistance of the dense material plane on which it lives. However, it is precisely these divine radiations, meager as they may be, which enable the matter-ridden soul to face its darkness and suffering, and to make the effort to rise to the higher realms of energy and mind. Take life lightly where material affairs are concerned, and seriously where spiritual development is in question.
Wow. Sounds like that's from the discourses.
Yeah, you know, it probably is. I recognize the last bit of it about take life lightly where material affairs
Yeah.
are concerned.
Yeah.
But this, you know, the first two were all about love. And in a sense, I mean, that is what Baba is all about. And this is talking about, it is precisely these divine radiations, meager though they may be, which enable the matter-ridden soul. Well, you know, what else is divine radiations but Baba's love coming to us when we need it, when we beg for it enough, when he wishes us to, you know, what else can it all be?
Why don't you go ahead and read it one more time?
Oh, okay. The soul cannot receive in any appreciable measure the renewal which the divine consciousness would pour upon it, owing to the resistance of the dense material plane upon which it lives. However, it is precisely these divine radiations, meager as they may be, which enable the matter-ridden soul to face its darkness and suffering, and to make the effort to rise to the higher realms of energy and mind. Take life lightly where material affairs are concerned, and seriously where spiritual development is in question.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Any other comments about that before we go on?
It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Baba. Take life lightly and God seriously.
Yep.
Very good.
I love with that quote how it implies that the radiations are always there, which that's what I love, because sometimes it feels like it's not there, but he's reminding us that it's always there, and it's just the density of the material plane and our sanskaras that keeps us from feeling it. So it's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm sorry. There's that one amazing illustration in God Speaks that shows, you know, those rays coming from God and going through the mental world and going through the subtle world and finally motivating everything in the gross world, though, as this quote says, you know, It seems to be darkness most of the time, but the rays are there, motivating everything. So yeah, enlivening everything.
Yeah, the only word that I objected to was the word meager, because to me, it's never meager.
Yeah, right.
You know, every little bit, we just soak it up, right?
Yeah, you got it. You got it. So,
Thank you, Bob. And Sally, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba all. Happy beloved Baba's birthday to Baba in all of you. Jai Baba. And my quote is, it's a simple one, very meaningful. This one, Baba says, when you feel angry or have lustful thoughts, remember Baba once. Remember Baba once. Let my name serve as a net around you so that your thoughts, like mosquitoes, may keep buzzing around you and yet not sting you. In that manner, you can prevent unwanted thoughts from turning into unwanted actions and thus eventually bring your heart to the purification required for me to manifest therein. I'll read it once again.
Okay.
When you feel angry or have lustful thoughts, remember Baba at once. Let my name serve as a net around you so that your thoughts, like mosquitoes, may keep buzzing around you and yet not sting you. In that manner, you can prevent unwanted thoughts from turning into unwanted actions and thus eventually bring your heart to the purification required for me to manifest therein. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Anybody want to say anything about that?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Baba just has this way of making the most profound points come through in such a clear and simple way. And other times it's complex, but
I just like the words at once. You know, that's the reminder, because in life things are happening so fast. And if at once I can remember Baba, that's the key.
Yeah,
and by his by his saying it, it makes it possible for us.
Mhm.
Already done, as it used to say, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Meher Prasad, what's your lucky draw?
Jai Baba. The truth of one's own perception and realization is the only road by which wholeness may be restored to the inner psychic being. Learn the art of taking your stand on the truth within. When you live in this truth, the result is the fusion of the mind and heart, and the end of all fears and sorrow. I'll read that again. The truth of one's own perception and realization is the only road by which wholeness may be restored to the inner psychic being. Learn the art of taking your stand on the truth within. When you live in this truth, the result is the fusion of the mind and heart, and the end of all fears and sorrow.
Beautiful.
You know, there are two quotes that Baba has given that gives really practical guidance in day to day. And this particular one that says, learn the art of taking your stand on the truth within, provides the most clarity when you're in moments of confusion and chaos and you don't know what to do. If you just pause for a little bit and, take the stand on the truth within, which is basically your higher self is Baba. And because your higher self is Baba, it's also everyone else's higher self. To me, that's really one very powerful quote that I remember all the time. The second one is what pleases him the most is to think of things that you would not hesitate to think in his presence, speak words that you would not hesitate to speak in his presence, and do and act things that you would not hesitate to do and act in his presence. These two quotes combined really are so powerful to me on a day-to-day basis, mainly in the moments of confusion and conflict, chaos, and whatever you're going through internally.
Beautifully said
Baba.
there. Jai Baba.
Hey, Hare, would you recite your first favorite quote again, please?
Yeah. This is the quote that I read every day before I start my day. The way of my work is the way of effacement, which is the way of strength, not of weakness, and through it you become mature in my love. Is that what you're talking about, Jody, or some?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and it continues, at this stage you cannot know what real love is, but through working for me, as you should work for me, you will arrive at that ripeness where in a moment I can give you that which you have been seeking for millions of years. That's a super, super nuclear weapon for Baba, I think.
It is nuclear. Terrific. I noticed the other day that I was reading through a bunch of messages that Baba sent out for his birthday. And in almost every one, he said, be true to the trust which I repose in you. And I've been thinking a lot about what that means. And I think a lot of these quotes are bringing that out, highlighting that notion. Be true to the trust which I repose in you. So go Hare.
Jai Baba, everyone, and happy birthday to all of you and to Baba, of course. So my quote was one that I'd never heard before, but it did really resonate.
Go Hare, I accidentally muted you. I'm sorry, I was trying to lower your hand. Can you unmute and start again?
Yes.
My apologies.
So Jai Baba and happy birthday again. So this quote that I received, I had not seen it before, but it truly resonated with me because it's something that I guess I'm, experiencing right in my life in the last few years, and it was very apt. So I'll read the quote and then we'll talk further. And Baba says, if one erects his projects on an incorrect evaluation of environment and people, the energy which he invests in them may be wasted in spite of his enthusiasm. Correct judgment of environment and people is an important requisite of fruitful and right action. Jai Baba. Now, I'd never heard this quote before. I'll read it one more time. So, if one erects his projects on an incorrect evaluation of environment, and into parentheses, and people, the energy which he invests in them may be wasted in spite of his enthusiasm. Correct judgment of environment and people is an important requisite of fruitful and right action. Now, what does this mean? I pondered on it for a while, and then it hit me. True enough. I mean, it's so many times we come across people and we think, ooh, I would love to share Baba with them, and you're so full of, okay, let me start, telling them all about Baba. But if the person is not ready, if he is not or she is not in that place that they're ready to accept Baba, then no matter how enthusiastic you might feel that, you want to share or bring Baba to them, it's just not their time. As Baba says, it wasn't his time. And so many instances I've read and whatever, that people have come to him and simply, gone away. And the Mandli is there scratching their heads as to how close they came actually, but yet nothing, whether it was within Baba's family, whether it was close relatives, whether it was anybody. And Baba said, what can I do? It wasn't their time. So I guess that's what he means. Am I right? I don't know. I'd like some feedback.
Yeah, I think that's a good interpretation. But, I always like to think that it doesn't matter when their time is.
Uh-huh.
When you say Baba's name, it goes into their heart. It might sit there for years or lifetimes. None of our business. Right.
Oh, I make sure I share his name with them, that's for sure. But as far as taking it further, if they're not ready, then
that's right.
The foundation is just not there, right? So, and I had a wonderful meditation in that I colored my, can you see this?
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful.
That was a wonderful Baba birthday meditation.
Oh, that'll make Angela happy. She likes it when people color.
Yeah.
Can you spotlight that, Cassandra, so I can see it?
Sure. Hang on a second. Just stay there. Everybody's going to have to fix their view after this, but I'll spotlight it. There you go.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice job.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Baba.
That was a lovely Baba meditation for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, very good. Anthony, my dear.
Hey,
wait. I'm sorry. How did this happen? Yeah, go ahead, Anthony. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, that was great. Go here. What I was thinking with that quote too is even, with our evaluations of the world and, I guess before we came to spiritual life and you look into the world and you're like, oh, it's all about, making politics perfect, or, oh, it's all about, fixing the environment and all these other projects that we take on that, is kind of like an incorrect evaluation. It's not that those things aren't important, but, building your whole life around those things, like where will that end up going without a spiritual life? So I was thinking about that too, just everything that everybody else is doing that's, not cultivating the spiritual life. But wow, that was a great quote. So this one here, this was kind of simple, and spiritual effort demands not only physical endurance and courage, but also unshrinking forbearance and unassailable moral courage. So again, spiritual effort demands not only physical endurance and courage, but also unshrinking forbearance and unassailable moral courage. And yeah, I was surprised by the thing Baba said about the importance of the physical endurance there. I hadn't heard that one before. But yeah, I can see that in my life there, when, I don't know if he's talking about just, keeping your body in decent shape there to be able to go through life, not, tired and unmotivated and all that. So that's what stood out to me. I can just tell the difference I feel when I'm keeping my body in shape through eating good and, doing some type of exercise, whatever that is. I know everybody's ability is pretty different with that. But yeah, I think it makes a difference going through the day and just how much you're able to get through all these things happening. If you feel energy and you're, decently alert and all that versus, when you're eating bad, not exercising at all, and you've got that tired kind of just, like you don't want to go through the day feeling. So yeah, interesting. It was pretty cool quote. Jay Baba.
Very nice. Jay Baba. Thank you, Anthony. Any other comments about that?
Anthony, I think you said at the beginning, oh, this is really simple. And yeah, I heard the part on the physical endurance, and I get what you're saying about the health, but would you read the second half, which to me was anything but simple to attain? Maybe read the whole thing one more time for those of us that are slow.
Sure thing, Judy. Yeah, I definitely didn't mean simple by like easy to attain. I guess it was just a short little quote here, but I agree with you. This is pretty.
That's a lot in a short quote. Go ahead.
For sure. So spiritual effort demands not only physical endurance and courage, but also unshrinking forbearance and unassailable moral courage. I actually looked up forbearance. I didn't really know exactly what that meant. And it was saying like ability to endure and tolerate things. So you have unshrinking forbearance and unassailable moral courage.
Yeah.
Baba says, that the spiritual path is not for the faint of heart.
Hearted and weak. Yeah.
True. Thank you. Yeah, Bob, did you have a comment?
Yeah, this quote that Anthony just read goes for me right along with just the previous one that was read. I mean, Baba emphasized practicality again and again, and be practical. So you might have the greatest motivations in the world, and you might have the endurance, you might have the strength, you might have the health, and you've got this great idea about some good thing you want to do. But if you have not assessed the situation and the other people, that it's going to be a wreck. It's not going to work. So the practicality of anything, living in whatever life one is in, which Baba says would teach you if it could. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, there was a quote earlier too about the lightness, keeping things light or something. That's what that makes me think of, that, we can't take it all too seriously. We just have to make our best effort. Just keep trying. Don't give up.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
As well. It really hit me that given what is going on in the world right now, that there's the second part of it was like, could you read the very last part of it again?
One more time, Anthony.
Not the whole thing, just that last part, the part about the moral character.
Unshrinking spiritual effort demanding unshrinking forbearance and unassailable moral courage.
Yeah. Because of what's going on in Ukraine and everything, and I've been praying, especially for the president there, God knows, and many, many, many thousands of people, that's what they need right now, is unshrinking forbearance and unassailable moral courage. And I've thought so much about, like, how would I do in that situation? How would I hold up in that situation? And sending so much love to those people. So I'm really glad you read that. And Baba addressed that. For me, that was very direct about what's going on right now. Thanks.
That's a good point, Gabriella. And, we can send them our courage too. We can keep sending them courage and strength and helping them that way.
Right.
Seppi.
Hi. Well, this one followed very well with what Gabriella was saying, and I felt it was very apt, both for me personally, but also the larger picture. And I think there's no accident that Baba's birthday is just around this awful thing that's going on in Ukraine and with Russia. And I had to work half the day today. And, I knew that I'm in sort of work that I can really do, but we can do Baba's work all the time anyway with prayer. And this says, work undertaken with honest intent and love for God is Baba's work. And those who do this are always his. So I think with what Gabriella said, I've lit candles. I've been praying since the tanks went into the Ukraine, and there was some just heartbreaking things on certainly the British news of just seeing the families going into the basements, this woman holding her cat and a little baby, and then a little girl saying, just a tiny little girl saying, I don't want to die. It was just, and so what we can all do is just keep saying Baba's name, praying, lighting candles, sending love, sending courage. And I just felt this was, there's so many of us connecting, we can all do this. What a powerful love. And I think that's why it's around his birthday as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want me to read it again?
Please.
Work undertaken with honest intent and love for God is Baba's work. And those who do this are always his.
And that reminds me of the one I mentioned earlier, that Baba also included in his birthday messages to his followers, which is, be true to the trust which I repose in you. So we have work to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jai Baba. Any other comments on that? Okay, let's have Telly.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Happy Baba's birthday. So this quote includes, in parentheses, the word spiritual at some point. And after the words greater and unerring, it has in parentheses spiritual. And I believe it's referring to spiritual knowledge. So I'll read it from start. In spiritual matters, as in mundane matters, greater and unerring knowledge means economy of energy and time. Is it,
again,
in spiritual matters, as in mundane matters, greater and unerring, parentheses, spiritual knowledge means economy of energy and time. So my take on that is, if we're aligning ourselves to God's will, we're in the flow. And if we're in the flow of life, which is, say, God's love, then it is the most efficient way, or economical way, you could say, to live your life. You're not wasting energy and you're not wasting time. That's my take on it.
And I think that's a good take.
Yes.
Would you mind reading that again, please, Telly?
Sure. In spiritual matters, as in mundane matters, greater and unerring spiritual knowledge means economy of energy and time.
It's a good one. It's a keeper.
May I say something?
Yeah.
Oh, this is Marion. That particularly resonated because it's so practical on both levels, spiritual and the mundane, because from this whole life, I have been expressing that I have too much to do and not enough time. And I prove it out. And then a teacher said, well, you keep proving it out every day. Of course, that's what beliefs are. And so I finally, a couple of years ago, decided I have to turn that over to Baba because it's a belief. It's not true, but I keep proving it out. So it's been a real tough one for me. So hearing this today is very, very helpful because it really addresses both sides, the practical and the spiritual, both. And it helps me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion.
Thank you.
So Ernie, what you got?
Yes, well, mine is about one of the greatest waste of energy. Worry accumulates and grows in strength. and becomes a habit long after the cause has ceased to be.
Again.
Worry accumulates and grows in strength and becomes a habit long after the cause has ceased to be.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Ernie? Any comment?
Well, like I said at the beginning, I think it's probably one of the greatest wastes of energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to step outside of it sometimes.
Yep.
You have to find ways to create space.
Yeah, we all do it, huh? Oh, thank you. Any other comments on that?
It gains traction the more you feed into it. So
it is a habit. Did you have a comment about that, Joy?
Like hit me. I feel like I waste a lot of time because I'm so slow in getting things done, and I get sidetracked, and I feel like I just am not as fast as everyone else in getting projects done. And then I get anxious. And then I tell myself, don't worry about it, just do what you do. But there's got to be some way where I feel like I can curb this feeling of wasting time, because I'm slow at doing things and methodical, and I go over things a number of times to make sure, and this kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know what to do about it, except maybe I can get some, I was thinking of getting some mind clearing sessions on it. I do mind clearing. So that's about it.
Well, maybe if you shift your language a little bit and think of it as, meditative rather than slow.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. How do
and
I
also, Joy,
yes?
also, have you given it to Baba? Just give your slowness to Baba and give your,
yeah.
just give it to him and go ahead.
Yes.
That's fine, Joy. What you're doing is just fine. Just give it to Baba.
I thought that today, and it did relax me to not worry about it. But for some reason, my mind is so detailed that I don't move on when I think I should. But I think I have ways of getting some help with it. And some of these things are helpful too, but giving it to Baba is absolutely correct. And I think I will get an answer on it.
Yeah, you will.
Okay.
I also think it's not a good idea to judge yourself.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's what Baba has me doing. He has me doing it slow.
Yeah, and also giving to Baba the judging of self.
Yes.
And also, I'm a lot better in that, for Baba has taken away some of that judgment, criticalness, but there's still more to go.
And but also, Joy, it made me think of the story of the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
Who wins the race? The tortoise. Sometimes I get a bit fed up if I understand that feeling, because I think I can be a bit competitive with my sister, much as I love her dearly. And I said, I'm not going to any workshops with you because you always do everything perfectly and quickly, and then I take longer. But then I said, but I still get it done, and I get it done okay, and it does fine. So I was just thinking about that whole time about the tortoise and the hare.
I was just at another meeting and I knew I wanted to leave, but there was something keeping me there. And I thought, just go, just leave, because you want to come to the Zoom meeting. It was just like this overthinking kind of thing, rather than just making a decision and again, leaving it to Baba. Okay, I'm going to leave this celebration and come to another one, because everything there was something drawing me to stay there too, But I was really happy that I left.
And Joy,
I'm glad that you came and shared it with us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another perspective that you might find helpful is saying to yourself, oh, Baba in me is doing X at this rate, or Baba in me feels like joining the quote group or whatever it is, but actually putting your heart into the and making it more than an idea that it is Baba who is working through you.
What happened?
In everything you're doing. It's not even to have to give it to Baba, but that he's the one doing it.
Yeah, I think turning it over to Baba is probably the.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you all for those good ideas.
And then I think of how fast Baba did things. I would like to be like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is
You
taking.
probably were in another lifetime.
Yeah. Could I say something about that?
Yes. Go ahead.
I struggle with some of this too. And some of the root of it is feeling like I'm never enough. I could never be enough. I can never do enough. I can never be good enough. I can never be spiritual enough. I can, and it's kind of
to be perfect. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, and then worries wrapped up in all the things we've been talking about are wrapped up in this one thing that you brought up. It's worry. It's, and it's true. Giving it to Baba is a start. I mean, that's where it belongs. And that everything is, getting into us, that everything is okay with him, that we're okay with him. He's not judging us. He's not the great judge in the sky, So anyway, I wanted to try and
apparently that had meaning for a lot of us. So
the thing about not being enough and checking every detail so nobody finds out that you did something wrong. And it's a lot of it is unconscious. I think it's sanskaric. It's like something else is pushing me to be this way when I say, I really don't want to be this way.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all your comments and let's go on. Susan Chernio, did I say that right?
Okay, cool.
Hi, J Baba. It's Chernilo. It's actually a Ukrainian name. It came from around
really
Chernobyl.
Wow. Yeah. Well, our thoughts are with your homeland.
Well, that was a long time ago. I'm coming to you, J Baba. I'm coming to you from Boston, where we're having another snow day. And my quote is this: service is not a mechanical response to a sense of duty, but a spontaneous expression of voluntary love. Through it, one gradually becomes purer, is freed from many limitations, and finds peace of being as one becomes wholly detached from the results of their actions. In such a case, the aspirant may still be engaged in humanitarian work, but that work is no longer entangled in personal ambition. I took the liberty of changing pronouns to be gender free. So I hope, anyway, I apologize if that offends anybody. Anyway, for me, I love this quote because I'm someone who has always believed that service is a very important aspect of spirituality. And I've also gotten some flack from other Baba people who say, oh, it's always ego, blah, blah, blah. And for me personally, I've also struggled a lot with, I have done a fair amount of service work, and I've struggled with balancing that with the fact that I'm also very shy and a writer and drawn to the inner life. But in any case, I find this quote very, very validating and important, because I do feel that in the work I've done, it has been in spontaneous expression. And so I love this quote.
Would you mind reading it again for us?
Okay. Service is not a mechanical response to a sense of duty, but a spontaneous expression of voluntary love. Through it, one gradually becomes purer, is freed from many limitations, and finds peace of being as one becomes wholly detached from the results of their actions. In such a case, the aspirant may still be engaged in humanitarian work, but that work is no longer entangled in personal ambition.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mona. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, everybody. I didn't request for an email code, but I have some, and I've been coloring this.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Put it up again and I'll spotlight it. Where'd you go? There you go.
Ah, great.
There you go. I've come not to teach but awaken. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Nice.
And the quote I'm going to read is, I have three actually, but I read one by one. Real healing is spiritual healing, whereby the soul, becoming free from desires, doubts, and hallucinations, enjoys the eternal bliss of God. If borne willingly, physical and mental suffering can make one worthy of receiving spiritual healing. Consider mental and physical suffering as gifts from God, which if accepted gracefully, lead to everlasting happiness. Avatar Meher Baba. Can I read one more, Cassandra, or should I do it later?
Why don't you read that one again first, and then we'll go on to the other one you have.
Okay. Real healing is spiritual healing, whereby the soul, becoming free from desires, doubts, and hallucination, enjoys the eternal bliss of God. If borne willingly, physical and mental suffering can make one worthy of receiving spiritual healing. Consider mental and physical suffering as gifts from God, which, if accepted gracefully, lead to everlasting happiness. Avatar Meher Baba.
Avatar Meher Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Did you want to read a second one?
Yeah. Remain happy always, even in adverse circumstances. If there were no turmoil, you could not test your ability to remain calm. The remedy for all ill is to remember me constantly and wholeheartedly. You will come to remember me wholeheartedly as you remember yourself less and less. Avatar Meher Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Two beautiful quotes. Thank you, Mona. Marion, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
We're still on Spotlight.
You're going to have to click on your view. I took the spotlight off, but you have to click on your view to return to the gallery. Okay. Go ahead, Marion.
Okay. You have feeling for me in your heart, and because of it, you remember me often during the day, but you do not continuously. This feeling or devotion, though good, is not love. It should not be mistaken for love, because that real love, which is to see and know God, cannot be created. It is bestowed through the grace of the Master, and such grace is conferred on a very, very lucky few. Still, do not be discouraged. Although you do not have the love that is needed, you have deep feeling for me. So I had some thoughts about that.
Okay.
May I share that?
Sure.
Or do you want to hear it again?
Wait, why don't
Which
you
first?
share your thoughts and then read it
Okay,
again?
so very quickly, my thoughts were, although you do not have the love that is needed, and I thought, wait a minute. So I had an emotional reaction because I'm very emotional. And I thought, wait a minute, Baba, what do you mean? I love you. And so I had that quick reaction. I noticed it. And then I remembered several years ago walking around my apartment saying, Baba, something's missing. I read something where Baba said, just love me. I don't need garlands. I don't need all that stuff. Just love God, love me. I said, something's missing. I love God. I love people I don't love. And I'm naming all the ways to love God, but something is missing. And the next day I opened a book. I didn't write down what it was. And Baba said something about the way to love me is to know that I love you. Beingness. And it did with this when I felt that little bit of, hey, I'm not measuring up enough here. And then I realized there are times I walk around my day feeling fearful, feeling doubt, feeling all that. And I'm not, I say, I love you, Baba, but I'm not allowing myself to be loved. And that's truly what loving Baba is allowing Baba's love in. So I did, this was just perfect for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good, good.
So one more time, Marion.
You have feeling for me in your heart, and because of it, you may remember me often during the day, but you do not continuously. This feeling or devotion, though good, is not love. It should not be mistaken for love, because that real love, which is to see and know God, cannot be created. It is bestowed through the grace of the Master, and such grace is conferred on a very, very lucky few. Still, do not be discouraged. Although you do not have the love that is needed, you have deep feeling for me.
That's a good one. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody, any comments about that? Well, thank you, dear. And next we have J and J. So I'm afraid I don't know you. So what is your name?
Okay, yeah, I'm Jack O'Brien. The J and J is for Jack and Janice, my wife. And we're up in snowy Buffalo, New York. And happy Baba's birthday to everybody.
And to you.
So the quote that I have here is this is from the Discourses. It says, in the spiritual life, it is not necessary to have a complete map of the path in order to begin traveling. On the contrary, having such complete knowledge may actually hinder rather than help the onward march. The deeper secrets of spiritual life are unraveled to those who take risks and who make bold experiments with it. They are not meant for the idler who seeks guarantees at every step. Those who speculate from the shore about the ocean shall know only its surface, but those who would know the depths of the ocean must be willing to plunge into it. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. I read that recently somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it spoke to me on, on different levels, on, the physical level. I love maps, and I love doing the research, for any of the, traveling or, anything that I do. But then invariably I set out with my course plotted, and then I veer from the path, and my experiences are much richer for it, whichever way I go. And I think it's, the same way. I think that's what Baba is telling us here in the spiritual life. By not depending on a map the whole way, but depending on your being willing to take some risk and experiment can lead you to a deeper, richer spiritual life. And then, metaphorically, I love that last line where he says, "Those who speculate from the shore about the ocean shall know only its surface, but those who would know the depths of the ocean must be willing to plunge into it." So, I think a lot, about we go to the Mayor Center usually around Easter time. Sometimes that's in March, and we go down to the ocean, and the ocean's pretty cold. But we sit there and we're looking at the ocean, and we're going, "Okay, we're gonna go in. We're gonna go in," and you kind of, you walk in halfway, and then all of a sudden it starts getting up to your stomach, and you go, "Well, I don't know about taking this plunge," and you back off, and then eventually, sometimes you do, you take that plunge in the ocean, and it's wonderful. But then you come out and you're going, you warm up again, and you're going, "Well, I don't know about going back in there." And I think it's the same way with, spiritual life. Sometimes I think I can take that plunge. I'm ready to, to go for it, to dive right in, and maybe I can for a little while, but then I kind of pull back again. And other times I just want to, stick my toe in the ocean a little bit. And so, like I said, it's this quote spoke to me on a lot of different levels.
Well, very good. Thank you for sharing that. There was some good insights there. Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. And Judy Robertson. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, and happy Baba's birthday to everyone.
Yay.
I got a quote I've never heard before, and here it is. When you begin to feed the ego with the help of the mind, and you feel resentment or excitement approaching, start laughing, start dancing, go outside for a moment until the mind is under control, but control at all costs.
Here. That's a good one.
I'll read it again. When you begin to feed the ego with the help of the mind, and you feel resentment or excitement approaching, start laughing, start dancing, go outside for a moment until the mind is under control, but control at all costs. And what came to me with this was remembering Baba during the new life and the incredible control that he expected, that was part of the rules and orders for the new life. And remembering, I think it was Singh, I'm forgetting his full name, whose daughter was getting married that day, and he found himself crying, and Baba found him crying and asked him to leave, that he'd broken that rule of crying because his daughter had said to him, when he said, "No, I'm going on the new life with Mayor Baba," and thereby missing her wedding, that he was no longer her father. And nevertheless, it's a long story, but for years he carried out Baba's order. He was a doctor and went back and begged for food in the village by Baba's orders, and his whole family rejected him. Many difficulties happened, but he came back into contact with Baba, and he was still carrying out the Baba's orders through the new life. And as Baba says at the end of this, but control at all costs. And that's what came to mind initially when I read this.
Oh, thank you. Why don't you read it one more time, Judy?
When you begin to feed the ego with the help of the mind, and you feel resentment or excitement approaching, start laughing, start dancing, go outside for a moment until the mind is under control, but control at all costs.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that reminds me of, I don't know if folks know Ed Brown. He's a Buddhist teacher, and I studied with him for a while. And one time he taught a class on antidotes. There's a concept of antidotes in Buddhism, and the antidote for resentment is amusement. And I always thought, we always have a choice, right? So you find yourself feeling resentment, you make a choice to switch to amusement. So Rosalie, what do you got?
This is actually an incredible session because I've felt responses to everything that's come up. And anyway, it's in this situation, it's a little limited, but one response before I do my quote was about worry, something that I found in Erich's room, hanging on the wall, Erich Desawala. I think Erich found it in the newspaper in India. And I see it as another name for sanskara, habit. You may know me. I am your constant companion. I'm your greatest helper. I'm your heaviest burden. I will push you on and drag you down to failure. I am at your command. Half the tasks you do might as well be turned over to me. I'm able to do them quickly, and I am able to do them the same every time, if that's what you want. I'm easily managed. All you have to do is to be firm with me. Show me how you want it done, and after a few lessons, I will do it automatically. I am the servant of all great men and women, and of course, servant of failures as well. I have made all the great individuals who have ever been great, and I've made all the failures too. But I work with the precision of a marvelous computer with the intelligence of a human being. You may run me for profit or run me to ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me. Be easy with me and I will destroy you. Be firm with me and I will put the world at your feet. Who am I? I'm habit. Habits make good servants, but poor masters.
Good one. Good one, Rosalie. You want to read your quote now?
My quote's very short, but it's being an ex-Catholic Church Catholic. It's confirmation of Baba's guidance. It just briefly says, God wishes that we attain him most naturally in our day-to-day life. I've been very into Baba when he said he spoke through Narina Machiavelli, and all through this, it's helped me right through this pandemic. Well, it's still helping me. Baba's words, see me live in you in small ways of life, the everyday ritual of selfless harmony. The unsatisfied element in you is God, who needs you to be like him. Unsatisfied humor is God, when winning in you the dual show of I. I am the motive making I, to lift in I the truth. There's more, and believe me, it's worth hearing more, but that speaks to me to no end, yeah.
Well, I'm glad
Anyway.
to hear you're finding so much joy in these quotes then, Rosalie. Thank you. It's good.
I find joy in Baba's words. Yeah, I do.
Jai Baba. So Janet Jacobs, I see your hand. How are you, dear?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you, Cassandra, on this Baba's birthday? All right, here's my quote. Just a second. I think, okay, yeah. To perceive the spiritual value of oneness is to promote real unity and cooperation. Brotherhood then becomes a spontaneous outcome of true perception. The new life, which is based upon spiritual understanding, is an affirmation of the truth. It is not something which belongs to a utopia, but is completely practical.
Beautiful. Any comments about that, Janet?
Well, I would just say that I appreciate it a lot because, well, for one thing, I think I've been moving toward the idea of brotherhood. I mean, that's been a concept that I have been entertaining of late. I mean, not that I didn't before, but more seriously, I guess I would say. So that and how he links in this quote, brotherhood with the new life and its practicality, not just some sort of utopian, some kind of idea that is unreachable, but the reality of real brotherhood. And yeah, and that really speaks to me and how I want to, my direction, let's say. So.
How about if you read it one more time for us?
Okay. To perceive the spiritual value of oneness is to promote real unity and cooperation. Brotherhood then becomes a spontaneous outcome of true perception. The new life, which is based upon spiritual understanding, is an affirmation of truth. It is not something which belongs to a utopia, but is completely practical.
Very nice. Any comments about that from anybody?
Brothers, sisters, any comments?
Well, Pam and Danny. Jai Baba. Or is it just Pam?
Jai Baba, it's just me. This one is about service. Service to the master is an ordeal which tries the body, mind, and spirit. The body suffers, the mind is tormented, but the spirit of the selfless servant of the master experiences the bliss of true satisfaction. And I found that to be true when we would host the Baba meetings at our place. For years we did that, and you know, we had to clean the whole place and everything, and prepare food and chai, tea, and you know, get the place looking nice and all that. But the spirit that we were in was so happy, and you know, we got to sing songs and do the prayers, and by the end of the meeting we just were in a blissful state. So you know, that made it all worth the effort.
That's so true. I remember when I was caretaking up at Mayermount, would be days of sweeping and cleaning and putting things together. But it was all worth it when the people would gather, and just so much love and joy. Nothing else like it.
So much good vibes would be in our house, after everyone was leaving, we were just like, wow, what a blissful place this is,
Lucky.
Yeah.
Would you mind reading your quote again?
Not at all. Service to the master is an ordeal which tries the body, mind, and spirit. The body suffers, the mind is tormented, but the spirit of the selfless servant of the master experiences the bliss of true satisfaction. MS Arani.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Happy birthday, everyone.
Happy birthday. Well, Elizabeth, are you ready? Elizabeth. Well, we're waiting for her.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right.
I walked away for 1 second and then you called on me. So this one's a long one. The last 2 times I've gotten really long ones. And I actually put it in the chat in case someone wants to read it or copy it. But I love it. This is it. The miraculous experiences described by those who love me, or by those who love me unknowingly through other channels, are only the product of their own firm faith in me. That unshakable faith often supersedes the course of the play of Maya, and thus produces what they describe as miracles. Such experiences, derived through firm faith, do not entangle those individuals into further binding in illusion, but eventually do good. MS Arani.
You want to say anything about that?
Oh,
what it means
well,
for you?
I believe in miracles for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think that all these small coincidences that most Baba lovers have had are like a little net that weaves itself around us and draws us to Baba. And all of those small instances together form a miracle, because otherwise, how are we drawn to him? And, I've been trying to talk to friends of mine who are not Baba lovers about Baba. And one is saying, how do you talk to God? And I said, pay attention. And she said, well, I heard "Oh Holy Night" at Christmas is my favorite Christmas song. And I was just thinking I turned on the radio and I heard it. I said, yeah, that's God talking to you. These small little miracles that happen. And the main thing is you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to sights, to sounds, to fragrances, to what you see, to friends who call, or things people say to you, maybe even a stranger. And I mean, the small miracles, I think are really miraculous, and call our attention to Baba.
Yeah.
Lovely. Quote again, please.
Again, read it again.
Yes,
okay. The miraculous experiences described by those who love me, or by those who love me unknowingly through other channels, are only the product of their own firm faith in me. That unshakable faith often supersedes the course of the play of Maya, and thus produces what they describe as miracles. Such experiences derived through firm faith do not entangle these individuals into further binding in illusion, but eventually do good. MS Aron.
Beautiful. Thank you, dear. Very nicely done. You know, I always remind myself that, you know, I find it so true that whatever you focus on, whatever you pay attention to, that is what will persist in your life. So if you focus on, you know, pain and suffering, then it's like Baba says, well, if you're only going to pay attention to me through pain and suffering, then I guess I have to give you more. But if you pay attention during the joyful moments and give your attention to joy, give your attention to serving others, then you open up a whole new avenue of God's blessings. So somebody had their hand up there for a minute. Was that you, Susan? Somebody wanted to say something? Okay. Gabriella?
Hey, Baba. All right, my quote is, it will be profitable to remember that the soul remains unscathed by the destruction of material things, and death itself is only a gateway to further life. Therefore, those who would play their part well in the divine game should remain unmoved by bereavement or loss, imparting to others a spirit of cheerful resignation to the divine will.
Beautiful. Would you read it again, please?
Surely. It will be profitable to remember that the soul remains unscathed by the destruction of material things, and death itself is only a gateway to further life. Therefore, those who would play their part well in the divine game should remain unmoved by bereavement or loss, imparting to others a spirit of cheerful resignation to the divine will.
Lovely. Do you have any comments about that, Gabrielle?
Well, I was wondering, are these really randomly given to us?
I think they've been collected by our Jeff over the years.
But I mean, they were chosen for each.
Oh, yes, they're changed through a randomizing program.
Oh, incredible. So,
yeah,
yeah, that is so great. I've been doing such a study of death and life, and I love that, just the words, that is a gateway to life. Death is a gateway to further life. And my mother's been sort of flirting with death, coming in and out of the gateway for the whole year, and she's doing better now. It's quite amazing, but it's like I keep feeling like just to be really, really steady while this dance is going on, because it a cheerful resignation to the divine will, that feels like. And also the word forbearance was discussed earlier, and I feel that forbearance around things of death and life and death. I was going through something very, very hard once, and Arnavaz just said to me, now you will need forbearance. So I just, again, I feel like that her saying that helped me have it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Susan?
Okay, yeah, this time I do want to say something. This one actually really bothers me because although I believe it's true what Baba says, that death is only a gateway, it's something that most of us still only believe. It isn't something that we really totally know. And Baba said that, that being God means being the most human. And so it's human for us to feel sadness when people we love die. And it's human, and I think we also need to be sympathetic to other people who are going through loss and bereavement, and not, not jump on this kind of detached thing of saying, oh, it's God's will. Anyway, that's my feeling.
Good comment. I think that's very valid. Thank you. And Joy?
I believe that last quote 100%. I took care of my partner for 4.5 months and was at his side when he died at home. And even though I believed the words, it felt like getting run over by a truck.
Yeah.
And so there was nothing I could do except, let that happen. The obsessive thinking about, could we have done more, and the missing, and the disappearance of that individual just sort of is a real confront to the mind. Of course, it's still there. But it's I believe this, what Baba says is true, but even Baba's close ones had trouble with losing family members. I remember a woman whose son died in the airplane. And Baba said,
Hare,
don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
Hare grieved, didn't she, so much?
Myrtle, I know, I felt, I felt like I knew, this is crazy to say, but I felt like I agree with Mira, like, it's like, yow. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Baba ever told us to not grieve. Of course we grieve, we're human. But he wanted us to be able to remember that it is a passing, it is a transition. Because, the saddest thing for me when my parents died was that I couldn't think about them in the loving way that I used to think about them because of my grief. It wasn't until I was able to get past that grieving when I could re-engage with their essence again and know that they were still with me. So Joy, why don't you read us your quote?
Okay. Worrying about the results is no good and of no use. One must sincerely try to do his duties, but the results must always be left to God. It is for humans to do, but for God to ordain. Let's see here. Oh, I gotta put my glasses on. To remain aloof from results is not difficult. That's always nice to know. But people do not try. So like there's trying, he's saying try. It is human nature to think. People must think. Must not worry. That's it.
Thank you, Joy. You broke up a little bit, but we'll have you read it again in a moment.
Oh, okay. Like right now, or?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you do that?
Okay, worrying about the results of no use. I find that very encouraging. It's like a cheerleader. One must sincerely try to do his duties, but the results must always be left to God. It is for humans to do, for God to ordain. To remain aloof from results is not difficult, but people do not try. It is human nature to think. People must think, but they must not worry.
Thank you, dear. That reminds me of, how Baba would say to someone, it's really, you must love me. And if you can't love me, try to love me. And if you try to love me, I'll help you. So he always gave us, the steps to get there. Just don't give up. Just keep trying. So Sue Lerner, would you like to read your quote? You need to unmute, hon. Yeah. Got it?
There, how's that? Can you hear me?
That's good. Yes.
Okay. This weakness of seeing God in things you like and shuddering at the idea of his existence in things you don't like or abhor must be overcome. It is only when you rise above all these ideas of good and bad and recognize, see, and feel flowers and dirt alike and find God equally in all that you could be said to have known and learned something real. Otherwise, it is all parrot-like, a false conception, an illusion. And I just thought that was very timely in the world we live in today. So, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, would you please read it one more time?
Sure. This weakness of seeing God in things you like and shuddering at the idea of his existence in things you don't like or abhor must be overcome. It is only when you rise above all these ideas of good and bad and recognize, see, and feel flowers and dirt alike and find God equally in all that you could be said to have known and learned something real. Otherwise, it is all parrot-like, a false conception, an illusion. Jai Baba.
Beautiful. I like that. Thank you. Irene and Cliff. Jai Baba. We have Cliff here today too. I don't think I ever saw you, Cliff.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Okay, here's a quote. It means more to me than it does to Irene, so she's letting me read the whole thing.
I had difficulty with it.
Okay.
Love is a gift from God to man. Obedience is a gift from master to man. Surrender is a gift from man to master. One who loves is the lover of the beloved. One who obeys is the beloved of the beloved. One who surrenders has no existence other than the beloved. Love seeks union with the beloved. Obedience seeks the pleasure of the beloved. Surrender seeks nothing.
That's one of my favorite quotes, Cliff.
Can we hear it again, please?
Love is a gift from God to man. Obedience is a gift from master to man. Surrender is a gift from man to master. One who loves is the lover of the beloved. One who obeys is the beloved of the beloved. One who surrenders has no existence other than the beloved. Love seeks union with the beloved. Obedience seeks the pleasure of the beloved. Surrender seeks nothing.
You have any comments on that, Cliff? Any insights for us? Or for Irene?
It'd be interesting to see if she has any comments, but I have a lot of comments. It seems to have touched on so many other quotes and so many other people's thoughts about their quotes. I'm talking about love. Love is a gift from God to man. I mean, we try to, Baba doesn't say, try, don't love me or don't try to love me, but it's a gift from God to man. Obedience is a gift from master man. We know how hard the Mandalay have tried and, to obey the master. He doesn't say, don't try to obey me, but he says the only thing that man gives is surrender. That's what we can do. And so it makes it a very easy roadmap for me, because when I'm in difficulty, I know the best thing I can do, the best gift I have to offer is just surrender. People talk about self-judgment. What if I can't surrender? Well, that doesn't matter. Surrender that. It goes on and on. Surrender is the key, as far as I'm concerned.
my favorite line here is obedience seeks the pleasure of the beloved. And that kind of, to me, that's kind of surrendering, to be obedient and surrendering. It makes me happy to think that that makes Baba happy. So that's the piece that I like a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't say not to try to be obedient, but if you can't, don't worry about that, because that's a gift from the master of the man. You try, but you can't worry. You have to surrender your worry. You have to surrender your insecurities, your self-judgments about not being a good Baba lover, or not loving Baba enough, or not being obedient enough. Surrender it all. Give it up.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Love it. Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
I'm wondering if you'd be willing to share with us what your reservations about or problem with this quote is.
Well, I think it just got too heady for me. I said at the very beginning before we started recording that the quote that I liked was from Paula, from a little line that just, it was everything for me, that nothing is done for me, nothing is done to me, everything is done for me. And I just like the simplicity of that, the profound of it. So I think that it was just a little, my mind was getting too heady around it, that I needed something kind of just go directly to my heart. And so, but that one phrase, obedience seeks the pleasure of the beloved, really struck me.
And that strikes me as well, because that's what Mara, of all people, was most focused on, was what would please Baba. And so thank you for sharing your sharing your heart with us. Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
You read my mind, Judy. That was exactly what I was going to say, is when I hear that quote, I think of Mara.
Yeah.
She personified that entire quote.
And actually, in the later years after Mara died, Bonnie would, whenever the women came for RT, for ladies RT, from Marazad to Marabad, which they did every 2 weeks, Mara would have prepared a whole basket of special roses that she'd grown in her garden and so forth. No, Mara prepared those when she was living. After she passed away, the women, Mani and the others, brought baskets of roses from Mara's rose bushes and offered them after they did RT at Baba's Samadhi. As most of you know, they went around to Mara's shrine, and Mani would say, and actually I remember the first morning that she said, this morning when I was getting ready to come, I thought, what is it that we bow down to when we bow at Mara's shrine? And she pondered and she said, you know, it's not Mara that we're bowing down to. We're bowing down to her love for Baba. And then she said a prayer that after that, she said almost every time she came to Mara's shrine, Mara, help us to love Baba as he should be loved. Help us to please Baba as he should be pleased. And yeah, I pleasing Baba, Mara was the only one in all of creation that could do it as it should be done. We can only strive.
Thank you, Judy. We can try. So a while ago, Jay had posted his quote in the chat window. If there's someone who wouldn't like to read their quote out loud, but wants to paste it in the chat, you can do that and I'll read for you. So let me read Jay's because it's been a while. Let me find it. I lost it. There it is. He said, his quote is, your love should be so deep that it makes you forget yourself and the world. This experience will leave you desireless, dazed, and confounded. This is real love. So if you're dazed and confounded, maybe you're feeling love. Did you want to say anything, Jay? I know you have a poor connection, but thanks for pasting that in for us. All right, all right, Michelle Schaefer.
Jay Baba, I'm sorry I arrived late. I had things to do. So this was quite an interesting quote for me, I think. If a person is dissatisfied with his environment, it is usually because he does not know how properly to adjust himself to the environment. Instead of thinking, how can I get out of this? And becoming discouraged and depressed, one should think, what is the lesson I can learn from this experience? So, I find that quite fascinating. I'm not sure quite how to take it, honestly. One of the things I thought of, my goodness, what if somebody is in jail? Or what if somebody went through the Holocaust? How on earth to adjust to those conditions? And then I thought, well, how does it apply to my life? There's all kinds of little details I could say. Yeah. What's going on with COVID and the art scene and how I want to change my, my transition in what I'm doing. And it just is like, okay, Baba, I'll do my best here. So I don't know what else to say about it.
Well, he gives us plenty of times to practice with the little things, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah.
The big things are harder. When I made my move to Myrtle Beach, oh my God, I'm thinking like, what the heck am I doing here? But I've come to the point where, well, Baba brought me here. So I trust him.
Yeah. So, but I really like the idea of how can I get out of this and becoming discouraged and depressed. One should think and turn it around. What is the lesson I can learn from this? And it brings us back to the new life and being cheerful. Exactly. All those things that Baba said, even if your heart is cut to bits, keep a smile on your face.
So would you mind reading your quote again? Read it again.
Oh, sure. If a person is dissatisfied with his environment, it is usually because he does not know how to properly adjust himself to the environment. Instead of thinking, how can I get out of this? And becoming discouraged and depressed, or one should think, what is the lesson I can learn from this experience? M.S. Arani.
Wonderful.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Happy Baba's birthday, everyone.
Ernie, I thought you had your hand up. You do? Okay. Ralph Jackson.
I was going back and forth on this one, but it was something that I mentioned it to a friend of mine the other day, who was this was when Ukraine had just been invaded, and she was really upset, and I had just read this out of a book from Peter Matheson, and it kind of speaks to the mind and worry. I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
It's from the Iron Flute, and the iron flute, an upside down iron flute without holes or mouthpiece, which one plays as a mosquito bites an iron bull. And the explanation is that both images are Zen metaphors for the vain attempt to solve the secret of existence with logic. And to me, that goes back to worry. It's and that's when I know it. And with my quote too, it said that it gains strength and becomes a habit long after the cause has ceased to be. And this kind of speaks to me trying to circumvent that with my mind. And that's when I realized I need to create some space. And this kind of spoke to me on that.
Very good. Thank you, Ernie. That was a good one. Ralph Jackson in Texas, USA. J. Baba, Ralph, did you want to read your quote?
Yes. Am I unmuted?
You are.
Okay. A true aspirant has a mind open toward all things that are beyond the scope of his experience. That's M.S. Irani.
What do you think about that?
A true aspirant has an open mind toward all things that are beyond the scope of his experience. Well, I could offer some debate on that statement, even though it's from Baba. I don't think he would mind. So much is beyond the scope of my experience that were I to be terribly open-minded toward all those things, I would be what even more spaced out than I am. And I don't know if any things are, no, but to consider it, I think, what is Baba saying there? An open mind toward all things that are beyond the scope of his experience. It reminds me of another situation where there were some very young Seventh-day Adventists in India, and they decided to come. They had an issue. None of them could really conceive what the meaning of the infinite is. And they went to Baba. They got an audience with Baba, secured, to be with him for a little bit and pose their questions. So they did, and they told Baba, we have a problem with the infinite. If you could help us get some idea of the concept of the infinite. And Baba looked at them and he said, now look at me. And he said, what do you think my condition is, my awareness is, my consciousness compared to your own? What do you think what is the difference between you and me? And they looked at Baba and they didn't have much to offer. And Baba didn't give them a lot of time either. And Baba said, let me tell you, it is immense. And then he said, like, yours is like an ant and mine is like the sun, or an elephant. And then Baba said, whatever you can think of at all is God. There is not anything conceivable or that you can see or touch or even imagine that is not God. Everything is God in its real condition. And he says, Then they paused, and Baba said, and on the, and this tickled me, on the off chance you can think of something other than what I've already said, that too is God.
Good one. Thank you. Thank you, Ralph.
So thank you. Yeah. So having the concept and scope of experience.
Yeah, I kind of think that open-mindedness just means not being closed to new ideas. You don't necessarily have to believe them or absorb them, but to allow that there are things beyond what our limited thinking can show us.
Yes.
It's an important step.
Open-minded.
Yeah.
Open mind toward all things.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the way that is said. Open mind toward.
Okay.
Right.
I was thinking how vital it was for me to have that ability to leap into things I didn't really have any idea about before I came to Baba, and how that brought me to him. One leap next to the next to the next. But each time I had to open my mind to something that was, that was new.
Yeah. I've been a Zen Buddhist most of my life, and one of the quotes from Shinryu Suzuki, who was a great master, he brought Zen practice to America. And one of his quotes, somebody asked him one time, what does Buddhism think of sin? What's a sin in Buddhism? And his reply was, immediately, his reply without hesitation was, to look at a beautiful flower and say beautiful, that is a sin. And what he meant by that is we're always imposing limits on things. Even to call something beautiful is putting a limit on it. So to me, that's what open-mindedness is, to go beyond what the categories are, to go beyond what we, have traditionally thought of things, and let everything be new. So if you don't know Shinryu Suzuki, he wrote the book called Beginner's Mind, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And that's what he meant by beginner's mind. You're always opening up to new things. So I thought I would read my quote. Is that okay?
Ready.
You ready?
Jai Baba. Yes.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
Divine love is qualitatively different from human love. Human love is for the many in the one, and divine love is for the one in the many. Human love leads to innumerable complications and tangles, but divine love leads to integration and freedom. In divine love, the personal and the impersonal aspects are equally balanced. But in human love, the two aspects are in alternating ascendancy. Human love in its personal and its impersonal aspects is limited, but divine love with its fusion of the personal and the impersonal aspects is infinite in being and expression. I'll read that again. It's kind of long. Divine love is qualitatively different from human love. Human love is for the many in the one, and divine love is for the one in the many. Human love leads to innumerable complications and tangles, but divine love leads to integration and freedom. In divine love, the personal and the impersonal aspects are equally balanced, but in human love, the two aspects are in alternating ascendancy. Human love in its personal and impersonal aspects is limited, but divine love, with its fusion of the personal and the impersonal aspects, is infinite in being and expression. Jai Baba. I don't know if I have any comment about that. I just thought it was beautiful. Stands on its own.
I have a question for you, Cassandra. That
Yes,
the part
Jan.
about the alternating ascendancy in human love, with the personal and the impersonal. Do you have any more clarity on that you could perhaps shed light for me?
Well, you know, all human love is in the domain of duality. So it's always picking and choosing based on, you know, whether it's personally, it sounds to me, it feels to me like based on whether we find it valuable to ourselves in the moment. But divine love doesn't make any distinction. It can absorb everything. Divine love is doesn't separate one thing for another. It's unity. And it's always, I think, a gift from Baba. What do you think?
Cassandra, can you read your quote again, please?
Okay.
Thanks.
Divine love is qualitatively different from human love. Human love is for the many in the one, and divine love is for the one in the many. Human love leads to innumerable complications and tangles, but divine love leads to integration and freedom. In divine love, the personal and the impersonal aspects are equally balanced, but in human love, the two aspects are in alternating ascendancy. Human love in its personal and impersonal aspects is limited, but divine love with its fusion of the personal and the impersonal aspects is infinite in being and expression. M.S. Irani. Anybody else have any
I
comments
wonder
about
what
that?
he means by that, the impersonal and the personal in the human love. What he means by that, alternating.
Well, for one thing, they alternate in various lifetimes, right? But even
what does he mean by personal and impersonal?
Personal love is, to me, if anybody jump in here, if you want to help me out here, I'm just saying what my point of view is on this. Personal love you have something to gain by that love. And you have an object in personal love. Impersonal love doesn't really have an object because everything is included. It doesn't select. It doesn't pick and choose. It looks at everyone and is able to, you know, feel that same love. If it's divine.
I guess I'm kind of thinking of the personal and impersonal God, and that's maybe it has nothing to do with that.
I think it's tangentially related, but I don't think I can debate it right now.
Could we read it again? One more
time? Okay.
I love that.
I tried to copy it.
3 strikes, and we don't get it. 3 strikes, we're out.
Yeah, there we go. All right, here we go. You ready? Divine love is qualitatively different from human love. That's point number 1, right? Human love is for the many in the one, and divine love is for the one in the many. That's point number 2. Human love leads to innumerable complications and tangles, but divine love leads to integration and freedom. It's another point. And then he goes on further. In divine love, the personal and the impersonal aspects are equally balanced, but in human love, the two aspects are in alternating ascendancy. Human love in its personal and impersonal aspects is limited, but divine love with its fusion of the personal and the impersonal aspects is infinite in being and expression.
It's complicated, that part about personal and impersonal, divine versus human.
Well,
The other part, pretty-
Baba would send me a complicated one, right?
right.
Well, it seems that if it's personal, there's going to be discernment, judgment, need, all the things that you were saying. Whereas if it's divine, it's all encompassing, and therefore it's almost like a neutral love that knows nothing but love.
Mhm. Very good, Kathy. Thank you.
Yeah, that is good. Well, the other thing it might be is when you're talking personal, you're talking about sanskaras. But impersonal, I don't think, I mean, are there sanskaras with impersonal love?
Impersonal love is the divine, but it has to be that we come to a balance. That's what Baba tells us, that we come to a balance of the two.
I don't think impersonal love means it's divine. That's not the same thing, because God is both personal and impersonal. So that doesn't make sense, Cassandra.
Well, that's fine.
Of course, but I don't understand this. I'm trying to understand it.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments about it?
Yeah.
Paula, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not muted, am I?
No, you're
No.
good.
I can hear you.
Where I went with the fusion was the avatar is the fusion between the impersonal and the personal. And our approach to the divine is through the avatar. And it's a personal approach because we're human. So I don't know. That's I'm a Cancer, so that's where I go. It's like Bob is the connection, and he's the connection within us.
Well, I think it's a good one to take in and let it sort of percolate, and ask Baba to reveal something to you. Ernie, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I think it's along the same lines as what Paula was saying. It's, to me, I'm thinking that impersonal would be us seeing Baba in everyone. And that would be seeing beyond their sanskaras and beyond their, but to see through to their heart, which is very hard to do. But to me, that's what I take it to mean. Is when you say the one and the many, I'm thinking the one would be Baba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, really makes sense.
He is making 4 different points in that quote. It is a long one. He's making 4
Something
different.
Something Bauji told me once is that I needed to start to live as though I needed to see the one in the many and live that way, which is quite a challenge, but that's,
You know, Baba did say that they're the 2 aspects of God, the personal and the impersonal. And the personal is when God is in human form. That we understand. The impersonal is when you have a conceptual idea of God. So to me, it's more conceptual. So a conceptual idea of love, I guess.
Well, we're getting pretty far afield here now. So I just want to think that Joy's been waiting a while. So let's go to Joy and we can discuss this later. And then after Joy, we have Kathy Scullum. Joy.
I think I'm going to be touching on the last 3. Ralph said something about being open to have experience before, and I'm putting it right. And I've had that happen recently, and it's just mind blowing. It's like never met anyone like this before. It just doesn't even seem real to me. What I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing is there. And it feels like Baba is the next thing to do is like, yeah. Someone else mentioned it feels like I go crazy because it's just never something I've never experienced before that I can remember. And my recent job was to see God in everyone. This is what I tell myself in the world. And a couple more points. I think Michelle was making the point about being content in your environment in jail and the concentration camps, sort of thing. And what helped me when something's abhorrent to me is Bob saying, whatever situation you're in, consider it to be from me. And I try to argue with him and say, what do you mean consider? Come on, it's not really consider it like some kind of a play, joke or something. But I believe that Baba means that from him anyway. And the other thing I wanted to go back to was love, obedience, and surrender, because I wanted to get a hand on one time. I saw it low, and Baba explained it. I think it was Cassandra who said it was one of your favorites, love, obedience, and surrender. I don't know if I remember right from the article in the Glow, because I wanted to get to have it make sense. Is greater than love. And that somebody else was teasing it apart, and I think quoting Baba, somebody can say I'm wrong on that, that love is from master God to man, obedience is from master to man, and surrender is from man to either God or master. But Baba said, might be my memory's faulty, is that Baba says, I will help you with love, and I'll help you with obedience. And that really struck me. It's like, okay, but I won't help you with surrender. And this is from memory of long ago reading someone else saying, this is what Baba meant, or them themselves trying to tease it apart, their memory, whatever.
Joy, your connection is not real good. So we're getting like every other word. Yeah. So we've heard much of what you said, but
no wonder you didn't call me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all your contributions. Thank you, Jay Bob.
Okay, so there's something today that I want to chew on as well. It's just the love, obedience, surrender in that order. Okay, thank you.
Very good. And Kathy.
Hi. Am I? Yep. Can you hear me? Okay, Jay Baba, everyone. Happy birthday. My computer's been out all day and it just came on. I about jumped out of I was so happy, yes. So my quote, I love my quote. It's do, and in parentheses, your work with love and without fear of failing. If you do it conscientiously, there will be no failing, as it is I who makes you do it, and it is I who takes upon myself the responsibility. Keep this thought, I'm trying trouble reading my own writing. Keep this thought predominant in your mind. I have to do it for Baba and not for my spiritual development.
Very nice. Very good one. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I really like it.
Can you read it again?
Sure. Do your work with love without fear of failing. If you do it conscientiously, there will be no failing, as it is I who makes you do it, and it is I who takes it upon myself, the responsibility. Keep this thought, predominant in your mind. I have to do this for Baba and not for my spiritual development.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Isn't it nice? Instead of to try so hard to be a good little girl, just do it for Baba because he's doing it anyway.
Do it for Baba and then it's his.
And the conscientiously is very nice too.
Yeah.
So is there anyone else who hasn't shared yet and would like to do that? Because we're getting up, we've been going for 2 hours now, so we'll go a little. Anybody want to add anything? Well, how about if we close off with the Beloved's Prayer? If you want to unmute yourselves and we can say it together. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more
And more.
and more and more, and still yet more,
That's more.
till we become worthy
of union with you.
and help us all to hold fast to Baba's diamond, the very end. Avatar, Meher Baba, Ki Avatar, Meher Baba,
PJ.
Avatar, Meher Baba, Ki. And happy birthday, everybody.
Happy
Baba
Happy
birthday.
birthday. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Cassandra, thank you.
Wonderful.
I'm really glad you guys stayed on this long.
Yay, well, we're glad you made it.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Rosalie. Hi, Rosalie.